What's up, everybody? Granny Kami here, and this is going to be my first review in a while. It's going to be different though. It's not a manga review, as you can probably see from the title. Well, it's half a manga review, I guess you could say. But it's my first anime review. So I'm going to be reviewing Soul Eater, both the anime and the manga. Now, don't worry, there will be no spoilers. So if you haven't seen it before, that's fine. I'm just going to review it. Right, so I guess I'll start off with the story. The story is about basically demon hunters in a way. Well, I wouldn't really call them demon hunters, but basically the Grim Reaper sets up kind of an academy for students to basically train and become strong to defeat evil souls known as Kishins, which are basically humans who have pretty much become evil. And the goal is basically to make death sites, which are... Okay, so before I even get into death sites, there's two types of characters in this show. Well, good guys anyway. There's Meisters and weapons. Now, weapons and Meisters, you need... Well, okay, well, Meisters need pretty much need weapons to fight. There are a few Meisters who can fight without them. But basically what the weapon's job is, the weapon is a human with weapon blood, which basically means they can turn into weapons. So, like... one of the main characters, Soul, he's a scythe, and he can basically turn his arm into a scythe or whatever, or turn himself into a proper scythe. So his Meister, the main character, Maka, can use a scythe to fight. Now, death scythes, despite the name, are not always scythes. Basically, they're like really powerful weapons, and the way to make a death scythe is to absorb 100 souls of evil humans or whatever, and one soul of a witch. Now, witches are pretty much the main bad guys in this show. So yeah, you absorb 99 human souls and a witch's soul. And if you don't absorb a witch's soul and you absorb some other kind of soul, you go back to zero, which means you start all over again. So basically that's the idea, to make a death site, and that's the role of the academy, to defeat the witches and make death sites. Yeah, that is the essential role, but of course you have your main villains, which is going to be a witch. That's not really a big spoiler. It's kind of obvious that the main villains are witches. So yeah, but there's a few other types of villains you'll find throughout the series. So that's the basic storyline. I'm going to get into the characters now, without spoiling anything, of course. So let's start with the main character, Maka Albarn. She wears the typical kind of school uniform witch. That's not really a big spoiler. It's kind of obvious that the main villains are witches. So yeah, but there's a few other types of villains you'll find throughout the series. So that's the basic storyline. I'm going to get into the characters now, without spoiling anything, of course. So let's start with the main character, Maka Albarn. She wears the typical kind of school uniform thing with a black coat over it, and she has a scythe, which is Soul, her partner, which I'll also be talking about as well. Maka is the smart kind. She's very hot-tempered as well. Whenever somebody either does something stupid or makes fun of her or whatever. She's a straight A student, so she's incredibly smart. She's probably my favourite character in the anime manga, because if you watch my top 100, Stein, another character, came ahead of her. By the end, I actually wanted to change that around. The two of them are some of my favourite characters now, but I wanted to change it around. So Maka is a very interesting character. She hates men in a sense, but not the kind of the way some women go about hating men is, I hate all men for this reason or whatever. No, she hates specific men. Her father, for example, is basically, he's a player. His name is Spirit. He's actually the current death site of the Grim Reaper. By the way, Grim Reaper is an interesting character. She hates men in a sense, but not the kind of the way some women go about hating men is, I hate all men for this reason or whatever. No, she hates specific men. Her father, for example, is basically, he's a player. His name is Spirit. He's actually the current death site of the Grim Reaper. By the way, Grim Reaper uses the death sites, and her father, named Spirit, is a death site. He's the current one. That's revealed in the first episode, so it's not a spoiler at all. But yeah, basically he's a player who's always getting with women and all that, and the reason she hates him is not because of that. The reason she hates him is because he simply cheated on his wife, aka her mother, and they got a divorce 1 month prior to the storyline. And of course Maka hates that, but he loves Maka, like, I mean, he really cares for her, like, and he's always so happy whenever she wants to hang out with him, and he's always wanting to hang out with her, but she never does, like, so it's just one of the interactions between those two. And then you have Soul, which is Maka's partner. He's very interesting. He's basically, his name is Soul Eater, so the show is named after him in a sense. He's an interesting character because we don't know a lot about him at first. He's just kind of Maka's partner. And of course, as I've already mentioned, he becomes the scythe, which Maka uses to fight with. And the weapons eat the souls, by the way. So she's trying to make him into a death scythe. So, you know, you get to see the troubles they have trying at that and fighting the enemies and all that. So he's an interesting character, but I can't really talk much about him because we don't find out a lot about him until much later on, at least from what I can remember anyway. I don't remember. At first, to be honest, I wasn't very interested in Soul until I found out more about him. He was my least favourite of the main characters, I guess. So we'll move on to the next Meister, which is Blackstar. Now, Blackstar is cool, okay? I didn't like him at first because he just reminded me of, you know, Naruto when he was younger, really annoying, thinking he's the best at everything. Blackstar is basically like that, but he's done in a much better way. He's more interesting to watch, and he is actually strong, unlike the Naruto was when he was younger. Blackstar can actually hold up his end of that. You know, he is actually quite strong. He's a ninja. That's his role, and his partner, Tsubaki, she is basically his ninja weapons. Blackstar, he's the cocky guy, you know. If he wins, he'll make sure you know about it. He'll make sure everybody knows about it. And he's the kind of guy who will not actually back down from a mission. Even if he can't potentially do the mission, he won't back down. He'll still fucking do it. His partner Tsubaki is pretty cool. She's a ninja too, obviously. She can turn into several different weapons. The main one is two main ones really that you see the first time you see them is a small sword, like a small katana. I can't remember now. I think it's a tanto. I forget. I used to know all these no problems, but I kind of forget that at the moment. And she turns into kind of two small sickle-like weapons, kind of like Hisagi's Shikai from Bleach. Kind of like them, but a lot smaller, like a lot smaller. And there's two main weapons, and you know, later on, obviously, the two characters develop more. Blackstar, he's an orphan. That's known pretty early. He's got, like, we don't know anything about his family at start anyway. And he's a really interesting character because I did not like him at first. I was like, I really don't like this guy. But when I first kind of saw him, I was kind of like, but I have a feeling he's going to change my mind. And he does. He becomes one of the best characters in the show. And I am actually cosplaying him eventually. If I'm going to buy his wig probably this week because I have a bit of money left over. And I'll buy his costume another week. Because I just think that'd be cool to cosplay him as. I mean, he's one of the best characters in the show. He's not my favourite though. Maka I still kind of prefer. But yeah, that's Blackstar and Tsubaki. Tsubaki, I'll go into a bit more about now. We don't really know a lot about her. We just know she's basically the polar opposite to Blackstar. And you could say it like that. And then we have Death the Kid and his companions. Now, Death the Kid is the Grim Reaper's son, so you know he's obviously in high regards. Whatever. He starts off the series not being part of the school, like the academy or whatever. He's basically just there. And he's kind of he does a few missions for his dad or whatever. He's given, you know, tougher missions than the ones in the academy because he's basically the son of the Grim Reaper, because he is the son of the Grim Reaper. Like, his character was interesting, and he's by far the most popular character in this because of how he looks. You know, he's got that dark expression. Well, not the dark expression, but you know, he got the dark look. You know, he got the black hair and the black clothes or whatever. And I love this guy. He's my third favourite character. Like, I really like this guy because he's mad about symmetry. If something is not symmetrical, he will go mental, and he will not be happy until it's fixed. Like, they could be on a mission or whatever, and he'd be like, I'm going to use candles for an example. I can't remember if he actually uses candle as anything about it, but he goes, are my 6 candles all in the right order? Are they evenly separated from each other? I have to go back and check, and he'll contemplate either doing the mission or going back and fixing them, and he's hilarious. And some people do find it annoying. I don't. I think it's hilarious every time we see it. Now, his partners are also interesting because he's got 2 of them. who take the form of guns. Liz and Patty Thompson. They're from New York. They were I don't really know how to explain. They weren't nice people. They would go around robbing people or whatever on the streets of New York. And basically the reason Kid chose these two is because they were symmetrical, because they were sisters, you know. But funny thing is, he always makes this a big deal. Liz, the older sister, and Patty is the younger sister. He's always wondering why their breasts aren't the same size and why Patty's is bigger, even though she's the younger one. And it's comical, like, you know, it's quite funny. Their interactions all together are great. But Kid is very powerful. In my opinion, he probably the second strongest in it. I'd say he is, yeah. From the start. Well, I don't know actually, because it's kind of, you never really know who's the strongest of the main characters. It's really tough to actually know. It's kind of different at certain times. I'm obviously not going to say anything because I don't want to spoil it. But he is great. He's a great character. He's smart like Maka and he's strong like Blackstar. So it's kind of a mixture between the two of them. But again, like their reactions, you know. And then we have the Grim Reaper himself. He's a Joker, basically. Not Joker from the Batman, you know. He's funny. He's always happy no matter what the situation is. And every time someone contacts him, he's like, oh, hey, how you doing? How's it going? And all that kind of stuff. He's always really happy. He's basically the leader of the academy as he set it up. He's a Shinigami, so he's a god of death, aka Grim Reaper. So he's the leader of them all, and he's just hilarious. I mean, but he's obviously very powerful because he is the leader. I'd say he's by far, not including the main characters, not always a Kid is probably second strongest. I didn't just mean out of absolutely everybody, but the Grim Reaper Death, he's by far the strongest. You just know that he's like Yamamoto from Bleach. You just know he's the most powerful. He's hilarious. You know, he works with Maka's father, who is his death side. Like they work together, they're partners. Although Death can use any weapon. I assume so anyway. I don't know if it actually went into that. But it's, considering he's the strongest character, I assume he can match any weapon. Because not every weapon can work with any human. Like their soul wavelengths need to match, which is a big thing. I think Death can do that with anybody. And then we have Dr. Frankenstein, he's great. He's a mad scientist, but he's hilarious, right? Think of Mayuri for the craziness, but he's also very funny. He's smart, obviously since he's a mad scientist, but he makes a lot of funny jokes and the stuff he does is very funny. Like he's also he's considered from the very moment we meet him to be the most powerful Meister of any to graduate from the academy. He's a very cool character. He was my favourite for a long time, I will admit. He was his entrance to the show is hilarious. I mean, I'm not going to say what it is because obviously you should watch it. Seriously, watch the show. And I guarantee you will like Stein. I don't think I've met anyone who doesn't like Stein. But yeah, that's basically the characters. Now I'll get on to the animation. The animation is great. It's consistent throughout the whole show. It's not like Bleach, where you have great animation, then you have, is this even animation? It'd look really bad and then it got really good again or whatever. It's not like that. It's just constantly good. So, if you like good animated shows, there's one for you. Music. The music is epic. They have the right music at the right time to put in the show. They seriously worked really hard on the music. And the openings, they are amazing. But there's only 2 openings, but both of them are very good. I really like the first opening personally. That's my favourite, but I don't by any means dislike the second one. The second one's awesome. Then we have the endings, which are a bit more chill, than the openings, but they're still awesome. Especially the third ending, that's my favourite. There's 4 endings, third one's my favourite. So, overall, I have to give this show a 10 out of 10. There's nothing really I dislike about this show. And if I was to do a top 10 anime list, you can bet your ass it's going to be in this top 10 anime list. As for the manga is also great. There's a few differences, but I mean, the anime is pretty solid to the manga at first. It's not until a certain point where it differs. Because I don't know the reason, I think it was catching up. because Soul Eater's a monthly manga, so it was either catching up or it would have caught up by the time it finished. So they went a different route and they ended it after 51 episodes doing, like, it's still awesome. Like, the way the anime does it is brilliant. And I watched the anime first. I recommend watching the anime first. The manga is just as good. It's just as good. The only problem is you don't have the music and all that. And, like, the anime, obviously, it's more adult than the anime. Though the anime is in no way not an adult show. It's not censored like Bleach is. Well, I mean, it's censored to an extent, but you'd see a lot more blood than you would in Bleach or whatever. Like, seriously, a lot of blood. The manga doesn't care. It does anything it wants. Obviously, it's not like too graphic, like, you know, where it's like R-rated or anything. It'd be like an older teens manga. It is good. The manga I finished in 2 days because by the time I finished the anime, I was on about chapter 60 of the manga, so I started from there, and there's 113 chapters, and it's finished now, by the way. And I finished it in 2 days. That's how good it was, like. But yeah, that's my review of Soul Eater. I'm giving the anime and the manga a 10 out of 10 because they're great. I wish the manga had not ended. But there is Soul Eater Not, which is a side story about 3 other characters, which I'm going to start reading. And when I catch up, I'll be doing monthly reviews for that because it's a monthly manga. So hopefully that stays going on for a while. But yeah, that's my review for Soul Eater. I was trying to get this out yesterday, but I was asleep all day because I'd been up the night before. But yeah, do check Soul Eater out. I highly recommend it. If you've seen Soul Eater, let me know below and have a chat about it or whatever. And if you did decide to check it out because of this, let me know. I'd be interested to see if I actually got anybody on the anime or manga. So it's great. I tried to take my time with it. I tried to see if I can make it last about 2 months to watch. I finished it in 2 weeks. But and that was me trying really hard. I really could have finished that show in about 3 or 4 days if I really wanted to. But I didn't know I wanted to keep it to last because it's good. But yes, again, check it out. Let me know what you thought about it. Or if you've already seen it, let me know what you think of it. And that's it. 10 out of 10. Perfect. Nothing wrong with it at all. I like everything about it. So yeah, this is Granny Kami. I'll talk to you later.